Now this is our wedding group. It was windy that day. You can tell by Tom's hair. And there's the girls' wedding party. Can't tell the colors, but Loretta wore dusty blue, and Marie's was a pink, not a bright, dull pink. It's pretty. They were both pretty. Joyce's was a sort of a aqua. Now there's the thin lady. Let's see how it was a warm, fairly warm day. It wasn't too bad, but it was very windy that day. Where else have I got? Oh, down below here.
Church.
At the church, yeah.
Like that side.
Where are we? Here.
It's got to be in front of your face. That's the only problem.
Here we are. Oh, that's good enough. And over here, we've got, oh, this light shining on. Got my mom and dad with Tom and I. And there's out in front of the car, and that's in front of the house on Elm Street. We lived on Elm Street then. And here's Marie and I. Which way am I going? This way, huh? No.
Maybe you should have both those pages.
Tom and I. Tom, we've lost you there. Tom looks like a 16-year-old on that picture.
Smoking a cigarette.
Somewhere we've got Grandma. I thought we had Tom's mother on one of these pictures.
Probably do. There's
Don't
lots of
see it.
pages. There's lots of pages.
Yeah, here's more wedding pictures. Joyce and I. What's that? That's me out the back porch. I guess we had to take pictures outside because we didn't have flash. Probably didn't have flash in those days. And here's Neva and Grace.
You just
I
hiding
couldn't.
behind your veil.
I couldn't have them in my wedding party because they weren't Catholic, and in those days you didn't have a Catholic. If you weren't Catholic, you couldn't be in the wedding. Couldn't be in a ceremony like that. I thought a lot of both of those girls. They were dear friends, and I would love to have had them in the wedding, but I couldn't. Now what's down here? Me was my veil blowing again. This is at the church again. This is coming out of church. Joyce and Donnie. Now, bracelets. There's Grandma in there. Grandma Ginnever.
Flatten it out a little.
And I think that's Sonny sitting over on the well, on the cistern. See the little kid over there on the cistern? I think that's Sonny West. Paul Jr. And here's Aunt Meg, that aunt of my mom's that I talked about all the time, and Uncle Pat, and Mom.
Okay, you remembered his name now.
Well, that's the first husband. I remember
Oh.
him. It's the
Okay.
second one I can't remember.
All right.
Have I shown all these? Well, here's
You
some of
want
our
to show all of it?
here's some of our honeymoon again.
it a castle or something?
It was, it was a castle.
Might be Ha Ha Tonka or something like
Yes.
that. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still there.
Well, and this was a cabin we stayed in. We had a little red pickup truck we drove.
So, I got the name Ha Ha Tonka.
How do you remember that?
I know most of the parks in Missouri now.
No, this, I guess that about takes care of that. Where are we?
So he came back home for this picture?
I followed him. We,
No, he was,
yeah, but
okay, he wasn't overseas
We-
or anything at that time.
no, he went, when he went into service, the twins, well, maybe started a little sooner than that. He enlisted in the service because we didn't have any children. It was a patriotic thing to do. He enlisted. Well, very shortly after he enlisted, I was pregnant. But he didn't go off to service right away.
Right there.
Yeah, it's a picture, service picture. And he would go back and forth to St. Louis. He had to go down there. I've forgotten what they were doing down there, but he was still home when the twins were born. We didn't expect him to be, but he was. But when they were 3 weeks old, he left for camp. When they were about 3 months old, I followed him to camp. And he was stationed in Camp Crowder. He taught electronics down at Camp Crowder for most of the time he was down there. We had better hours than we ever had. He would get work for a certain length of time. He would work for, that's in Carthy. That's the little house we had.
What about that?
713, I can't remember the name of the street, but the number was 713.
What's that picture on
I
top
don't know
of
that
it?
picture. That's him, but looks like a.
Jimmy Dean. James Dean. That's what I was
Looks like
thinking
Jim
of.
Dean. Okay.
Jim Dean.
And
James Dean.
yeah, and that was me when I about that age, about that time too. There was a little place down in Carthy's that we could get little pictures like this for $0.25, and I patronized them religiously. I would get pictures of the twins every week or two and send them home.
Well, speaking of which, there's one there.
And yeah, that's
Which one's sleeping?
Tommy's on the right. Connie's on the. They were twins, but they sure didn't look like it.
Well, what we...
And
So-
well, anyhow, we let's see, how long was I down there in Carthage? Almost 2 years, I guess. Joe was coming when I came home. One time I went overseas, I was pregnant with Joe.
Now, you had the business back then, too? Not when you were in Carthage?
Yeah.
You didn't?
Yeah, we had the business. Louis Bussinger ran it, but you couldn't buy appliances to sell. They weren't available. Everything was being used for war. And you couldn't buy tubes to fix televisions. Yeah, in those days they used tubes. It was actually not much you could do. The business was very run down when we got home. But it just, well, like I said, everything was used for the war effort, and I couldn't buy even rubber pants for the kids. If for the babies. In those days, we didn't have Pampers, of course. We had diapers, and then we'd use rubber pants on top of them. Well, we couldn't buy them because anything rubber was out of the question. I couldn't buy a buggy with rubber tires on it, so we bought a secondhand. And strollers too. We had to buy them secondhand because you couldn't. The new ones didn't have rubber on them. Now, even playpen, I remember the metal hinges of the corner of the playpen, they weren't available. So the playpen I had was, like we call it dovetail, where one fits over top of the other one. Mm-hmm. And didn't take the twins too long to realize that if they lifted it up and dropped it, they could get out. We lived in Carthage on Highway 66. I looked out one time and saw the two of them walking down the middle of Highway 66. Thank goodness the traffic wasn't as bad in those days as it is now. Then we came back. When Tom went overseas, he went to the Philippines finally, and then I came back to O'Fallon, and Joe was born about a month after he went overseas. And then he didn't see him until he was, well, let's see, he was born in August, and Tom got home in, I think it was very end of January. So that would have been September, October, November, December, January. About 5 months old, I guess, when he saw him, close to 6. Saw him for the first time. And one tale he tells was, I wrote to him about the baby. I guess they don't, I guess we didn't have telegraphs available. I don't know anyhow. I just wrote him a letter telling him about Joe's birth. And I'm sure that the first letter I wrote, I just